NSeSA, folks. Looking at the bracket here as we go into our final league section for the day for Division 4. The match on this stream is going to be Scribner-Snyder versus SEM, and the match on the other stream is going to be Bancroft Rosalie versus Dundy County Stratton. Going to go ahead and look at the standings here. So far in the overall tournament, Scribner-Snyder has a record of 6-0, and SEM has a record of 4-2. So Scribner-Snyder is slightly favored to win this match.
Who knows? The tides could always turn.
Exactly. That's the fun part about this.
Those are your city matches. You guys can start now.
We're going to go ahead and list off the teams here real quick. For Scribner-Snyder, we have Loki Loco, Colton White in grade 10. He's going to be the top lane for Scribner-Snyder. In-game name is going to be We3Cs for Garrett Hunk, who's going to be the jungle. Cajun is going to be the in-game name for Caden Wheelock, who's going to be the mid laner for Scribner-Snyder. Candle is going to be in-game name for Logan Harrion, and he's going to be the support. And Toxic 174 is going to be the name for Garrett Gully, who's going to be the ADC.
On the Sumner Eddyville Miller, we have Monkey Huevos NA as Darren Schroeder. He's playing the top. Colty Boy Colt Schroeder is jungle. Alpha 1324 is Carson Bozak as the mid. Oshro 18 NA is Owen Schroeder support. And then Goose Slayer 2014 NA is Clarkson Padmos as ADC.
All right, looking at the pick and ban phase here. Looks like Scribner-Snyder is favoring their bans, spreading them out, making sure that they're covering all the roles. They've got a jungle ban in the form of Vi, they got a mid lane ban in the form of Vagar, and they got a top lane ban in the form of Set. Trying to keep it even. Meanwhile, on the side of SEM, we've seen both a Hui and an Aurelian Soul ban. Both mid laners, both really strong mages, so you can tell what they're trying to avoid fighting up against the mid laner. And an Olaf ban. Kind of trying to ban out that top and mid laner. Top for Scribner-Snyder is going to lock in. It's going to be York. York is a very strong solo push character, so we're probably going to see a lot of that from him during this match. Looks like we're going to go ahead and see SEM lock in their bot and support, which is going to be Ashe and Xerath. Ashe is a heavy engage character, which is kind of interesting to see it picked with a poke support like Xerath. We see a jungle pick coming out from Scribner-Snyder here. It's going to be in the form of Nocturne. Excellent choice for map control. And a Vel'Koz lock-in. Also a ranged poke support, so looks like it's going to be poke versus poke here in the bot lane. Looks like we're going to see a Volibear here from SEM. Volibear could be either in the jungle or in the top lane. We're going to have to wait and see on that.
Or do you think it'll be more likely that we will see the Volibear?
More likely in the top lane, but you could always see differences. He fits pretty well in both roles, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the jungle at the end of the day. Looks like we're going to have a Vayne ban, knowing that Scribner-Snyder hasn't locked in an ADC yet. They're trying to ban him out. As well as a Shyvana ban. That means that Scribner-Snyder thinks that they haven't locked in a jungler on the side of SEM. Waiting for the final ban from SEM here. Looks like it's going to be Azaya, another bot lane ban, trying to make sure that they don't get any good bot laners for their ADC. And it's going to be a support ban from Scribner-Snyder. Maybe I was wrong in thinking that the Xerath was the support. Maybe he's the mid laner. We'll have to see from the rest of lock-in phase. Yep, looks like a Nautilus lock, and that's going to be the actual support. So that is a definite good combination. Ashe and Nautilus is going to be able to do a lot of damage very quickly in the bot lane. And it looks like the ADC is going to be Varus. So Vel'Koz and Varus together are going to do a real...
As we are getting started with League of Legends, I just want real quick, we forgot to announce one winner of the last division. One thing we do all year is we look at how many state champions and how people place at the state tournament, and we give out a cup for the winning school that scores the most points at a state competition. So this year for Division 3, our winner by 70 points is David City.
Congratulations to David City for winning the overall for Division 3 this year. All right, and as we wait for the 3-minute spectator delay, let's go ahead and look at these matchups here. So we've got a Jax lock-in. That means that it could go either way. So we're going to have to wait to see if it's Volibear or Jax in the top lane. I'm leaning towards Jax because that's the more likely pick, but it could always go either way. Jax into Yorick is an interesting combo. Jax definitely is a little bit more favored in duels, but it can go either way. Varus and Thresh is going to be an interesting combination. Thresh does both a good job of holding people off of his ADC and pulling people to his ADC, while Varus specializes in ranged damage. So if they can play this lane right, Varus and Thresh should be able to poke down Ashe and Nautilus before they have the chance to get in on them. But if Ashe and Nautilus play right, they're going to be able to get that early game lead, so the poking out isn't going to matter as much.
Is there anyone here who has significant long range?
So there's several characters in this game that have significant long range. Xerath is what's called a artillery mage, and he entirely focuses at throwing spells from ridiculous distances. In the same capacity, Varus, he's an ADC, so he specializes in auto-attacking, but one of his main spells is one of the longest skill shots in the game. Ashe's ult is cross map, so she can hit you from her own base if she really wanted to, but it's only one shot and it's just a stun, so it's not as huge as one would think. Nocturne, while being a melee champion, his ult's entire thing is being able to jump about a quarter of the map to get on top of you. So a lot of decent range. So got about a minute and a half left on the spectator delay. So as I mentioned earlier, Yorick specializes in solo pushing, but if he's up against a Jax, Jax specializes in sitting in his lane for a long time to get really strong, because Jax is one of the stronger late-game characters in League of Legends. So it's going to be an interesting matchup if those two are the ones that end up getting matched up against each other. Jax might not be strong enough to deal with Yorick early game, but he's definitely going to be able to even it out around the mid or late game.
Are there any characters that we're going to see start off really poorly and then get better as the late game goes on?
So Jax definitely is going to start off pretty weak. Xerath, depending on how he's played, will probably start off pretty weak, especially being on his own in the mid lane, as I'm thinking he's going to be. Vel'Koz in the same capacity isn't the strongest character either, so having those two in a lane together is going to probably go either way. We're going to have to see who ends up scaling up first. So the thing about Xerath, he's very dependent on a stun in order to get a lot of his damage in, and sometimes it doesn't go his way, whereas Vel'Koz isn't as reliant on CC, or at least his CC is easier to hit, in my opinion, but we'll have to see. Looks like it's going to be a Jax jungle and a Volibear top. So Volibear into Yorick is definitely not the greatest matchup they could have gone for, but Volibear is one of those characters that has surprising collapse early game. So if Volibear abuses that level 3 advantage, we could definitely see it going in favor of the Volibear. So if Volibear abuses that level 3 advantage, we could definitely see it going in favor of the Volibear.
Okay, fall back to the tower, fall back to the tower, fall back to our tower. Fall back to our tower.
All right, looking like we might be seeing just a normal start here. It doesn't look like either team is going in for an invade into the opponent's jungle. Playing it safe, playing it right. Good idea to play in-state. As we saw earlier today, we had a team end up taking a risk on an invade. They managed to win it out. It was Amherst earlier today. They took an invade and ended up losing more people than they got from the invade. It could have gone really badly overall for the match if they hadn't been able to play the map and their lanes as well as they did. It could have gone really badly overall for the match if they hadn't been able to play the map and their lanes as well as they did.
I assume we're just waiting for the minions to spawn in.
Yep, just waiting for minions to get to their lanes, waiting for jungle camps to spawn. We're going to see some action here in about 30 seconds or so. We're going to see some action here in about 30 seconds or so. Going ahead and clearing up buffs real quick. Doesn't look like either of the bot laners are going to use any mana, which is going to help them out in lane. But Jack's jungle isn't as strong as he used to be. He's not the greatest jungler. That's why I was kind of surprised to see that over Volibear. But either way, it'll be an interesting matchup to be sure. Vel'Koz getting poked a little bit here. Volibear definitely playing aggressive here in the top lane, trying to make sure Yorick isn't able to get to the point where he's going to be able to snowball onto that Volibear around level 2 and 3 when he really gets those abilities that start comboing.
So I've noticed that the Volibear isn't just straight up going for the attack.
So no, he doesn't want to exactly do that because that's going to put him in a position where he's going to be not getting as much CS as he would like. And CS is important because that's how you get your gold in his experience. So if you aren't getting enough CS, you're going to fall behind your lane opponent. Once again, very pokey mid lane here. Both sides trying to get damage in. Same in the top lane here. Volibear is going to go ahead and get level 3. They both get level 3 at the same time. Volibear goes in. Okay, looks like we're going to go ahead and pull out here real quick. Make sure that neither side dies. But Yorick is going to be kind of low, not going to really be able to go outside of his turret for a little bit. Vel'Koz is forcing a recall out of Xerath here while Xerath's wave is under his tower. That's going to be a massive disadvantage near the later stages of the game because he's going to lose 2 or 3 waves here in the early game. That's going to be really rough for him. Volibear takes almost two tower shots, just one. If it had been 2, that fight would have actually been more even in favor of the Yorick. However, Yorick does use his E, gets his ghouls on him, kind of evens out the health bars. So we're going to see top lane is looking kind of even here.
I've noticed that these schools are playing a lot less aggressive than the schools this morning.
So I get the feeling that the schools this morning both came in with a lot more confidence than these teams are going for. These teams are definitely playing the slow and safe kind of method to the game. Depending on how it goes, both ways are viable. However, I get the feeling that this is going to work out a little bit better for both the teams here. And first blood for Volibear. Unfortunate for the Yorick. However, Nocturne is coming in, probably going to be able to clean up the Volibear here if he... Interesting kind of walking pattern here. Oh, they're playing for Jax to be able to come up and help out. Jax gets in, stuns Nocturne, and Nocturne's going to go down. That's a double kill in favor of Volibear. That's going to swing top lane massively. Very unfortunate for the Yorick, who really wants to just be able to sit up there and push the wave. Very unfortunate for the Yorick, who really wants to just be able to sit up there and push the wave. Yorick catches Volibear recalling. This could be really bad for the Volibear. He gets stuck inside of the wall, flashes away, and he's going to live. However, that's going to delay the recall, and it's going to mean that he's going to miss some more CS. This gives Yorick the chance to get caught up, at least in CS regard. Mid lane looking kind of even. Actually, so if you'll notice down here at the scoreboard, Vel'Koz has a lot more CS than Xerath does. That's going to put Xerath very far behind. 20 kills is equal to roughly 400 gold. So that's a major difference there. That's a whole item component. York getting some major chunk damage here on the Volibear, trying to keep this lane state even. However, he's taking a lot of poke in return from the Volibear, unfortunately. Against Volibear going all in on the York here, trying to kill him again, but he's going to get stuck inside the York wall and not able to chase him down.
In terms of the rest of the map, how's it looking right now?
So right now, top lane is kind of messed over, unfortunately, but in the jungle it's looking pretty even. Mid lane is definitely in favor of Vel'Koz right now, just because of that massive CS difference. In the same capacity, it's in favor of the Scribner-Snyder bot lane because of their CS lead. However, it could go either way, especially with Jax getting that early game assist. He's going to be able to snowball that and use his jungle pressure to help out some other lanes. So now that Xerath has his ult here, it's kind of a long-ranged ultimate, so I'd like to see him going around the map and using it. However, he's going to try and use it to kill the Vel'Koz here. Vel'Koz is going to dodge the last bullet and survive. He's going to try and pull back under tower and recall. However, it looks like he's going to miss a pretty decent minion wave here, which is kind of unfortunate for him. That CS difference in bot lane is just going to keep mounting. Looks like the Scribner-Snyder bot lane has almost double the CS of Ashe here. Very unfortunate.
Will Ashe be able to recover from it?
Ashe will eventually be able to recover, but it's entirely going to depend on the rest of lane phase and if she's going to be getting support from their jungler. Looks like SEM's going to go ahead and take down that dragon, go ahead and try to get that snowballing in. York's going to throw down his ult, help that, get that down, help him push out the wave a little bit. Trying to take that level 6 advantage and roll it into something for him here, even though he's 0-3 in the top lane right now.
So it seems like this Volibear has constantly knocked down the York.
So yes, the Volibear has been able to take advantage of him early game. However, York is one of those characters like right now where he gets into the late game, you don't really get to fight York himself. You're more dealing with his minions if you don't play the fight right. He almost got Volibear there because Volibear got distracted by the minions and was just letting them chunk him down. Bot lane kind of just chilling out here. We've been seeing a lot of good hooks from this Thresh. This looks like it's going to turn into a kill for the favor of Scribner-Snyder. However, Ashe is going to flash away and live.
This looks like it's going to turn into a kill for the favor of Scribner-Snyder. However, Ashe is going to flash away and live.
Very unfortunate. Jax coming in here trying to get a kill onto the opponent bot lane, but his bot lane isn't following up. Extremely unfortunate for Colty Boy here, as if he had the support from his bot laner there, he would have been able to get some kills. Feels like just a little bit of a miscommunication there on the part of SEM. Loki getting ulted in here by the Volibear, but Volibear doesn't have enough kill pressure to get him down. So looks like Volibear kind of burned an ult for not that much. Very unfortunate. Coming up on the 10-minute mark here, we're pretty even on the overall gold scenario, even though there's 3 kills in favor of SEM, which is pretty surprising, but as you'll notice with the CS values, pretty consistently, Scribner-Snyder has a lot more CS than SEM does, which is huge, especially in the early games of League of Legends.
Are we about to see another York versus...
No, we're going to see Nocturne coming in here to help him out. Looks like a really good gank. They're able to trap him inside the York wall. Volibear kind of bullying the Nocturne here. Doesn't look like they quite have enough damage to slow him out. Vel'Koz walking up here too, trying to make sure that they can shut down this Volibear. He's got a 200 shutdown bounty, and it goes to Vel'Koz, which is huge because Vel'Koz is currently sitting with almost a double the CS of the opponent mid laner. Going to sway that mid lane a lot harder than it was already going.
Going to sway that mid lane a lot.
Scribner-Snyder playing safe, fighting it out here in the bot lane, making sure that they're getting that CS lead. In fact, their bot laner has had so much CS without dying that he is currently sitting with 150 gold bounty purely from the amount of CS he's gotten. Typically, you see bounties pop up because of the amount of kills you're getting, because it's based off of your gold income. However, if you don't die for long enough and get enough CS, you will see bounties pop up for your CS.
Are we going to see a repeat bounty of from what happened this morning with that 700 gold bounty for the Mordecai?
We're going to have to see here. It's going to entirely depend on how this lane phase continues to go. Ashe and Nautilus are a very strong combination when they get on top of an enemy ADC. However, this Varus has been playing very careful, making sure that they never get that opportunity. Looks like we might be seeing a fight over the grubs here pretty soon, however. I'm actually surprised. We actually didn't get to see it because it happened fairly easily in favor of Scribner-Snyder, but they already got 3 of the grubs. So SEM is trying to make sure they can't get that 5 to 6 grub buff. However, it looks like Scribner-Snyder is going to be collapsing in here. York walked in a little bit earlier than the rest of his team, so they aren't there to help him out. Looks like Xerath is going to go down to the jungler and the support. Meanwhile, the mid laner is trying to go up to help out with this fight, but he doesn't have the support that he needs. He's going to have to flash away. Looks like Jax is going to go down, and it doesn't look like Volibear has been able to find anything up at the top lane yet, so it looks like Nocturne's going to be able to get on top of him. Yorick Wall comes out, and Volibear is going to go down as well. A major win in favor of Scribner-Snyder. Oh, that shield just barely saved Volibear. I thought for sure he was going to die there. Looks like he's going to back out and live to see another day. Very fortunate. So they're only going to lose 1 kill here and a couple of grubs. Looks like Scribner-Snyder is going to go ahead and get that 5 grub buff that allows them to spawn little grublings when they're attacking tower and do a little bit more damage over time to turrets, which is really good for York. As you can see right now, York is just melting through this tower. That's what York really specializes in, is he'll just sit in top lane for the entire match and do nothing but shove that lane down the opponent's throats, trying to make sure that they can win this match. If the opponents are too focused on team fighting and don't deal with York, there's a lot of times that you'll see in solo queue matches, or even in professional esports, where Yorks are able to single-handedly win games just because they get left alone in a top lane.
Do you think the Void Bear will be able to catch up?
Volibear actually is pretty even with York right now, so it's going to be a lot more interesting of a matchup than we've been seeing. However, Volibear is definitely not as strong when it comes to taking turrets as York is, so I doubt that he's going to be able to catch up in towers without help from his team. Looks like we're seeing a fight down here in bot lane. Unfortunately, SEM is focusing on the support instead of trying to take out the ADC. That's a major disadvantage in the fight. So that means Varus is able to just sit back, not taking any damage, and get out for free. Jax tried to come in. Nocturne came in instead, and they ended up killing Jax too. So that's 2 kills in favor of Scribner-Snyder. This match has begun to swing very, very quickly in favor of Scribner-Snyder in the kills regard, because it used to be 3-0 and now it's 5-3. We're already seeing the effects of that CS lead turning into an overall lead for the entire game. We're already seeing the effects of that CS lead turning into an overall lead for the entire game. Going to go ahead and get a dragon in favor of Scribner-Snyder here, giving them that Hextech dragon buff. That buffs their attack speed and cooldown speed, so they're going to be able to dish out damage much more quickly. Rift Herald has spawned in, but doesn't look like either team is going for it quite yet. We'll have to see if that ends up happening. York is just kind of sitting back, letting his Maiden and his minions go ahead and deal with the Volibear for him. As we've seen, York hasn't actually laid a direct hand on Volibear yet, but Volibear is already almost a quarter health left.
Do you think they'll manage to take the Volibear out?
So we're going to have to see. I think if they manage to take that tower out, then definitely, but it's going to depend on that.
So we're going to have to see, I think, if they manage to take that tower out.
Volibear is going to go ahead and catch the maiden here, which is pretty good. That's going to reduce the amount of minions spawning in favor of that York. Looks like a very unfortunate situation here that turns into a very good one very quickly for Scribner-Snyder as both their support and mid laner walk into this fight that originally looked like just the opponent bot laner versus SEM, and Ash goes down.
We're seeing that CS lead.
Seeing that CS lead definitely turning into a major factor in this match. We've now got a 3-0 Varus with 126 CS at only the 15-minute mark. He's going to be turning into a monster. On top of that, they're doing on-hit Varus, which is a known build that is definitely one of the scarier builds for Varus. If he's far ahead, he'll build that and just be able to melt you in seconds. Nautilus down here trying to get some CS, trying to even out that disadvantage that they have. Looks like Scribner-Snyder is going to catch SEM, trying to take the Herald, going to try and turn this into some kills here. Jax hopping in onto the Vel'Koz, but he's not going to be able to find anything. Both the support and the jungler turning around, focusing down that Jax. Nocturne goes down, but the Scribner-Snyder is going to have to pull out here, actually. York shows up just in time to make sure that their Vel'Koz survives, as long as he doesn't die to this ult here, and he lives, as I was. I forgot that he actually, he leveled up, so he had 5 bullets now. I thought it only went up to 4 at level 12, unfortunately. Patch notes, you gotta read them.
Most people never do.
Well, with a game like League, they're very important. Volibear coming in here, trying to get on top of York again. York knowing that Volibear doesn't really have the ability to get on top of him as long as he uses his wall appropriately, making sure that Volibear has to keep his distance, gets hit by minions, doesn't get to do what he wants to do in that top lane. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to do with a Volibear. Just make sure that he can't really snowball and just build up yourself and make sure that you're going to be able to win. As we saw earlier, York did have a CS disadvantage towards Volibear, but over time, York's slowly been able to make that back with those levels and being able to just do York things.
Do you think now that they've leveled up more,
looks like going to be a gank here from the Jax, trying to find that kill onto the Varus, and they're going to find it. That's a massive shutdown for SEM. That's going to give them a major advantage as they're trying to come back. That's an extra 600 gold for them. They're tower diving onto a Thresh here, which isn't usually the greatest decision because the amount of CC that Thresh has, he's going to end up getting a triple kill here using the power of the turret. He didn't actually get the kill, unfortunately, onto that Ashe because he didn't deal any damage to the Ashe, so she just died to the tower instead, but we'll count it.
A bounty and death.
A bounty and death. Volibear going to go ahead and start getting chunked down here. Nocturne comes in, trying to fear him, make sure that they can kill him. Looks like they're going to be able to find the kill here. Vel'Koz not able to actually even get a hit to get an assist here because he wasn't actually all that needed. Vel'Koz does like roaming up to this top lane, and it is making an effect. It's just definitely not the best decision he could be making. I get the feeling that if Vel'Koz were sitting in the mid lane more, getting CS instead of coming up to top lane so often, there might be a little bit better for him. Looks like Nocturne is playing into York's thing of charging down the top lane. He's going to spawn in the Herald for him, making sure that he can get through more towers. Looks like the Herald got charged incorrectly into a wall, unfortunately, so it didn't deal as much damage as one would like to see. However, we're already going to see the second tower in the mid lane go ahead and go down.
How many turrets are left?
Looks like 2 turrets in that lane, and we're going to see a few more across the map. Fight going on here in the bot lane. Ashe is really low, so she's trying to hang back. Her support is going to go down here in a second, and she's going to go ahead and pull back. However, Thresh is going to hit a hook. They're going to get on top of that Ashe, and we're going to kill her too. Very unfortunate for SEM.
They're going to get on top of that Ashe and we're going to kill her too. Very unfortunate for SEM.
Scribner-Snyder is doing really good here. They're now 12-7. We're really seeing the effects of that CS lead that they got early in that match rolling out to something really beautiful for them. So it looks like the potential soul that we have this match is going to be the Fire Dragon Soul. The Fire Drake grants a small AD and AP buff to every character every time it gets killed. And when you get 4 of them, you get the Fire Dragon Soul, which when you hit an opponent causes a little nova of damage around them. Really good in team fights, especially for the AoE damage characters like Varus and Vel'Koz. And it can go pretty well for SEM too, so we're going to have to see who ends up claiming it. Right now it's definitely in favor of Scribner-Snyder as they have 2 points towards Dragon Skull, while SEM only has 1. Scribner-Snyder has not lost a tower yet. However, SEM has lost 3, which is very unfortunate for them. Looks like, okay, we're going to see Xerath flash out and live there. However, it was very close. Looks like Vel'Koz is going to play back because he knows that somebody's nearby. He saw that vision bush go off. He's not going to greed for that tower like he could be doing right now. Varus trying to defend this tower desperately. 3 people on it, however, and a Volibear. Volibear's ult actually disables towers, so Varus is being smart enough to just stay back, let the tower go, knowing that he can't defend it and that if he tried, he'd just be giving them more gold.
Seems like this match is going to be very different than the matches we saw this morning.
Definitely. The matches that happened this morning for Division 3 were very much fast-paced. Players trying their best to constantly be fighting in the river and in the jungle, whereas these teams are definitely more lane-focused, focusing on going down the lanes, rotating to other lanes, get these teams taken out. As we can see in the top lane, it's already been pushed down to the inhibitor turret, which really hurts SEM here, as they're going to have to be constantly rotating back to defend that lane when they want to be out there on the map fighting.
Was there anything that could have been done differently earlier in the match?
So it feels like there was some misplays around the Herald fights and in vision regard, keeping track of where the opponent mid laner and jungler were at, trying to make sure that Volibear didn't get ganked as much as he did. He kind of got bullied out of lane. Looks like Nocturne's going to get caught out here, unfortunately, but it's going to roll in a team fight for Scribner-Snyder. Scribner-Snyder hitting some pretty decent ults here, going to go ahead and combo out. Even though this looked like a really bad fight for Scribner-Snyder, it's turning into what looks like an entire ace for them, a quadra kill in favor of Varus. As you can see, that fight just swung the gold even harder. Currently, Scribner-Snyder is sitting at almost an 8k gold advantage over SEM.
And we got a 600 gold bounty already.
Yeah, we have a 600 gold bounty on the Varus. It would be even higher if he hadn't died earlier, but things happen. Yeah, we have a 600 gold bounty on the Varus. It would be even higher if he hadn't
It is what it is.
but things happen. Match is definitely snowballing in favor of Scribner-Snyder right now, but we're going to have to see where it goes from here. It seems like there was a little bit of a miscommunication there. They were considering going for a Baron play. However, only York was able to rotate out, and they ended up not going for it. However, they did get a mid lane turret, which is pretty nice.
We've just got a couple turrets left.
Looks like they've lost a grand total of 4 turrets, which is really unfortunate for them. Looks like they've lost a grand total of 4 turrets, which is really unfortunate for them. Scribner-Snyder did end up losing a turret at some point, which is disappointing. It gave them a gold bounty and an objective bounty, but not the greatest. Looking like we might see a fight happening here in the bot lane as Jax gets chased into his ally bot lane by both the opponent bot lane, mid laner, and jungle. Definitely a very scary fight that almost happened. It would have definitely been in favor of Scribner-Snyder if they tried to force it, but then again, they also didn't know the numbers of opponents they were looking at. Fight between York and Volibear here in the top lane. York is definitely trying to get away from the Volibear here as he is in his ult. He's got extra damage, extra attack speed, doesn't want to be there. If they just wait out that ult, it's going to be a much better situation. SEM trying to push down the mid laner here with just 4 of their team. Nocturne going to ult in under tower, forcing them to take turret shots if they want to fight him. Nocturne just distracting that Nautilus, making sure that he can't defend. and all 4 of them are going to go down here. Very unfortunate for SEM. Scribner-Snyder eating up all of that gold. Looks like they're going to rotate to Baron here in a second. Either that or Dragon, try and turn it into more objectives.
I've noticed lack of the use of the ward stones this go around.
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot less vision coming out from SEM here. I'm only seeing a couple of wards on the map, and I've only seen a few wards on the map. As you can look down here on the bottom of the screen, you can see the difference in vision score here. Like, the Xerath only has 9, whereas the opponent mid laner has 13, etc. You can see which team is definitely using their wards more often, making sure the enemies don't have vision as often. Definitely part of the reason why they're winning so much as well. Looks like they're going to go ahead and claim another dragon here, getting them 1 more point towards that dragon soul and boosting their damage permanently for the rest of the match. Looks like York is going to go ahead and back. He's farmed enough. He can go back to get base, get a little bit of a rest. He's got a 200 gold bounty almost purely from CS again. Just going to go ahead and cash that in, get some more items. He's got Hullbreaker now, which means that he's going to be an even scarier solo split pusher. And he's going to be able to just walk down lanes. Looks like he's going to go ahead and go mess with bot lane now that top lane's been pushed down to that inhibitor turret, and he keeps getting countered whenever he tries to go over there. Looks like we're gearing up for another fight here in the mid lane as Nautilus gets caught out and is going to go down. That burst damage from both the Varus and the Vel'Koz is really showing just how powerful this team has become just from that small advantage of CS that we saw early in the match.
650 gold bounty.
650. Looks like York is going to continue to use that pushing advantage here, going to claim another tower, but SEM trying to collapse on him. He's going to go ahead and pull back 700 gold for solo killing that turret. Really big for him here. However, he was actually just distracting so that his team could claim the Baron, which is huge for their team. Baron is known as a win objective. They could definitely turn that into a massive push either in the top lane or the mid lane and kind of finish up the game here, especially if they catch this Volibear out who is pushing top lane and got up a little bit too far. Didn't really react in time to that notification of them killing the Baron, unfortunately. Let's see where they try to roll this buff to. Looks like they're going to head towards mid lane here. Xerath in here, split pushing. Jack's in the top lane. Their bot lane's in bot. They aren't really rotating to deal with where they're seeing the opponent team at. York trying to push down this top lane here, going to get some damage in on the turret. Same with the rest of the team here in mid lane, trying to push it in, trying to claim an inhib, force a win here. Taking the advantages that you're given throughout the game is huge. Sorry, give us just a second here. I noticed that something got mixed up. Okay, you should be able to see the game again. Sorry about that, folks. You should be able to see the game again. Sorry about that, folks. All right, looks like we're pushing down the top lane here. Slowly but surely building towards that win. They got that mid lane inhib while we were looking away. That means they're going to be spawning in super minions. It's going to be a lot more of a focus for SEM to be defending this mid lane, making sure that it's not going to be able to push in and deal damage to your base. Super minions are really important because they will pretty much guarantee that your lane will always be pushing into your opponent's base. SEM just kind of rolling around as a team here, not quite sure what to do. Trying to find lanes to push out, places to get CS, trying to get that gold advantage back that they lost so early on. They're now sitting around 12k gold disadvantage right now.
It'll take a hot minute to recover that.
So the fun thing about League of Legends you'll see in the late game is that if the matches go out long enough, one small mistake can just signal the end for an entire team. So if SEM is able to drag this out long enough, we might see them swing some fights, catch some people out making mistakes and be able to swing it back. There's never a guaranteed win in League of Legends until you see victory on your screen.
It looks like that Volibear has smartened up.
Just a little bit. Unfortunately for them, their Xerath is going to go down. That creates an immediate disadvantage going into this team fight. Nocturne goes in. Vel'Koz goes in. Another player falls. Volibear ulting out. Ashe trying to get out as well. Ashe is going to go down. Volibear trying desperately to defend his turret. He's going to get pulled out. They're trying to take him out. Desperately trying to knock him out. Jax trying to come in here too. Yorick has to flash away. Jax is low. Jax almost down. Jax is down. That's an ace in favor of Scribner-Snyder, and they're going to be able to finish up the match here. Congratulations on Scribner-Snyder making it into the finals of the NSeSA state tournament. Congratulations on Scribner-Snyder making it into the finals of the NSeSA state tournament.
Championship matches. In third place on the right-hand side of our screens, SEM versus Dundy County and Stratton. And going for a championship on the left side, Scribner-Snyder and Bancroft Rosalie. Teams, you can begin, and good luck.
All right, loading in here, we got Scribner-Snyder versus Bancroft Rosalie. If you're looking for the other match, go ahead and head over to the other channel, CUNE Esports. It should be pinned at the top. All right, for Scribner-Snyder, we got Loki Loco, Colton White playing for the top lane. We got We3Cs, who is Garrett Hunk, playing for the jungle for Scribner-Snyder. We got Cajun, who's Caden Wheelock, playing for the mid lane. Candle, Logan Harrion, playing as support. And Toxic 174, who's going to be Garrett Gooley, playing ADC for Scribner-Snyder.
For Bancroft Rosalie, we have BRPC, who is Gabby Gatzemeyer as the top. We have Senor Puentes, who is Hayden Bridges, playing as the jungle. Avendine, who is the mid. BR Student 1 is James Rao, who is playing as the support. And then Both Adiz Nuts as AJ Weezy as the ADC.
Anyways, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the pick and ban phase here. On the side of Scribner-Snyder, we've got a Veigar ban, a Zac ban, and a Yon ban. Two mid lane bans, which is really interesting to see. Yon could definitely be a top ban too. And then on the side of Bancroft Rosalie, we've got a Hwei ban, a Varus ban, an Ashe ban, and a Thresh ban. Really afraid of that really strong bot lane from last match. And a Vel'Koz ban. Again, they saw the last match and definitely didn't want to play against that same Tom Company again. So it looks like we've got a Darius lock-in for the top lane of Scribner-Snyder. That was a character that was banned last match, I believe. I almost wonder if we're going to see a better performance from him than we saw in the Yorick from the previous match. As well as we see an Olaf pick for the jungle and a Swain pick, I believe, for the mid lane this matchup, which is definitely interesting. I'd love to see how that goes. We've got a Yasuo lock-in for the mid lane on favor of Bancroft Rosalie. Yasuo is one of those characters that no matter how badly he does early in the game or good he does, he always turns into a menace by the late game. Kha'Zix's in the same capacity, and AD Assassin definitely going to be scary if he gets a lead, but it's only going to be if he gets a lead. Urgot is going to love fighting with Darius. We're going to have to see how that matchup goes. It could go either way. A Heimerdinger pick as well. Going to be a very interesting mid lane matchup. Swain versus Heimerdinger is one of the more interesting matchups that we've seen. Seraphine for support. Do we have a double enchanter bot lane, folks? We're gonna have to see how that goes.
I haven't seen that yet today.
No, we have not seen a double support today. Seraphine ADC has been a thing that's been done for a long time, but I've never seen it played in a professional setting at NSeSA before. So I'm almost wondering if Yasuo is the ADC here, because Heimerdinger is typically like a mid lane pick, but so is Yasuo. Blitzcrank can work well with either, so we're going to have to see once we load in here.
Do we get to see another poke match?
We might be seeing another poke match, but I don't believe we are, because Seraphine and Sona, while they work really well as poke mages and healers, Blitzcrank and whatever he's going to get paired up with are not that. However, as we saw last match, Scribner-Snyder is very good at dealing with matchups where their opponents are trying to get on top of them constantly. Ashe and Nautilus specialize at that, and Blitzcrank and whatever we're going to see him playing with do that too. Got about 2 minutes left on the spectator delay here, folks. Hopefully going to be rounding into the actual match here soon. Just a natural league anti-cheat built in, just to make sure that we're not doing anything crazy like telling one team what the opponent is doing or anything like that. Kha'Zix versus Olaf is definitely an interesting matchup to see, because Kha'Zix specializes in doing a lot of damage very quickly, and Olaf specializes in surviving a lot of damage very quickly.
So a tank.
Not necessarily. Olaf is more a sustain character. You try to kill him, and he just gets stronger and stronger until he dies. So Swain, if he's going up against Yasuo, Swain's not going to have the greatest time, as Yasuo's Wind Wall is going to block a lot of his abilities. And he's not going to like that Yasuo's constantly running up and poking him. Swain doesn't really have the health to deal with stuff like that, so we're going to have to see how that matchup goes, if that's what ends up happening. In the same capacity, Heimerdinger isn't going to like playing up against Swain as much, because Swain's going to be able to dish out the damage to kill his turrets very quickly, and probably CC the Heimerdinger. We're going to have to see how this first 3 minutes of the match go as well. I'm almost wondering, because I think Bancroft Rosalie has a decent team for a gank here, or for an invade here, so we're going to have to see if they try that or not. Once again, I'm really interested in seeing how that Seraphine Sona bot lane is going to go. I haven't seen a matchup like that in a long time. Spectator delay finishing up here. We're going to be loading in just a few seconds. Looks like Heimerdinger might be the mid lane here. A Blitzcrank support. Running teleport. A teleport Blitzcrank isn't something that I have seen in a... I don't think I've ever seen it, to be honest. We're going to have to see how they use that. Could go well or could go badly. Doesn't look like either team's setting up for an invade again this match. Playing it safe, it is state. That's fair. Looks like it's going to be Heimerdinger ADC while Yasuo is going to be in the mid lane. Makes the most sense in this situation, to be honest. So we're going to have to see if Swain's going to be able to play into that Yasuo well. It's really going to depend on if Swain can use that range advantage that he has built in properly. Looks like Olaf's going to be starting top side, so junglers are starting on opposite sides of the map. Would have liked to see Olaf try and steal some of Kha'Zix's buffs here, because Kha'Zix really plays around getting that level 6, because it also buffs one of his main abilities as well as giving him his ult. Just kind of sitting around here waiting for stuff to spawn in, waiting for that Slow, simple start that League of Legends always likes to do before getting extremely overcomplicated. A little bit of league trivia here for you folks while we're waiting for the match to start off. Did you know there's almost over 1 million different possibilities before starting a match of League of Legends? Just from the lock-in screen, what characters are picked and banned, and what runes you select, there's over 1 million.
Yeah, it's basic probability.
Lane starting off here. Looks like Heimerdinger's using those turrets to go ahead and try and get some poke at the opponent bot lane, but it's not really paying off. I can imagine Seraphine and Sona doing pretty well against Heimerdinger because they have that poke to try and kill off the turrets, but I'm not sure if it's going to work out as well as one would hope. Doesn't look like Darius was able to get that early game advantage. However, Swain getting some early game damage in on the Yasuo, showcasing that ranged advantage over a melee character as we've seen earlier today as well.
So something I noticed this round, they went after all the characters that Scribner-Snyder had previously used. What do you think?
So that's good in some regards and bad in others, right? Because if you're not banning the characters that the previous people banned, it could be that they banned some of the best characters that this team knows how to play, and instead you're focusing on their backup characters and handing them their mains for free. Like, I'm thinking that this Darius is going to play a lot better than he did on Yorick last match because he's being able to play as his main instead of his secondary. Swain hitting another hook, being able to hit a 3-hit combo, get the his summoner spells off, dealing some extra damage here. Yasuo definitely sitting at a major health disadvantage here, even though he's being able to get some poke in.
Is that a Spider-Man?
No, that is not a Spider-Man. Talking about Swain?
Yeah.
So Swain is actually the Noxian war general who decided that he really liked the concept of having a demon under his control and then cut off his own hand and attached the demon's hand instead.
That's
So he's part Raven.
It's his hand.
Yes.
Can he climb walls?
No. Looks like Olaf went for a gank while we were talking. Unfortunately, not able to find any kills or get killed, so no major interactions happening quite yet. Scribner-Snyder once again showcasing their definite job of making sure that they know how to get CS, getting that CS advantage early already. Looks like they've got almost a 500 gold advantage purely from CS.
You think we're going to see a repeat of the high CS difference?
Doesn't look like we're seeing quite enough yet to think that that's going to be enough of a difference. We're going to see how the rest of the match plays out because while the previous match against SEM wasn't doing as good on the CS capacity, Bancroft Rosalie is definitely trying. Even though it's not working out as well for them, they're managing to keep that difference down to about a 400 to 500 difference, whereas last match we saw already by this point the SEM was starting to fall behind almost by thousands of gold purely from CS difference. Definitely just playing it safe, playing it careful, making sure neither team is getting a major advantage quite yet. Scribner-Snyder 100% just going for that objective advantage, taking it slow and doing it right. Both teams trying to find an area where they can take advantage of an opponent's mistake here. Yasuo goes ahead and gets caught again. Once again, demonstrating that power of a range versus melee composition. Olaf tried to gank there, forcing Yasuo's flash out. They see Urgot trying to go for a proxy, it almost looks like. He's going to get found by the Olaf and the Darius, and they're going to try and chase him down. Yasuo not able to rotate, it doesn't look like, or isn't rotating. Looks like it might almost be a solo kill onto the Olaf in favor of the... That's very sad for Scribner-Snyder, losing that first blood when they had a full advantage there. However, they are going to be able to go ahead and kill Urgot in revenge for Olaf's death. Kind of evening out that loss of gold that they had from losing the first blood.
We're starting to see that CS difference start to pop up in some of the characters.
Yeah, nothing more than 6 CS difference quite yet, other than in the top lane. The top lane is kind of vicious right now with almost... He actually has an entire double and then extra 2 on top of that over his lane opponent right now. And it's probably only going to get worse as he just crashed a wave into Urgot's tower, shorting him even more minions. So that's very unfortunate for Urgot. As our previous match, we saw the person who's playing Darius now on Yorick in a similar situation, losing to Volibear. So I'm wondering just how well this is going to go for our Darius player now that he's playing a character that he's slightly more comfortable with and getting an advantage early on, whereas before he was able to come back and do really well in the first place. Looks like we got Bancroft Rosalie going ahead and taking this early game dragon, going to probably be trading it for the Void Grubs with Olaf here. This is the Mountain Dragon, which is going to grant slight buffs to resistance, making them slightly stronger in fights, going to survive a little bit longer. All really important.
How many dragon types are there?
There are 6 dragon types currently.
Are fire and mountain the most common?
So they're all equally as common. It's a random chance which ones are going to appear. There's fire, wind, water, and... Wow, I'm so sorry, folks. My brain cells just decided to peace out for a little bit. There's Hextech, there's Chemtech, and then there's the Wind Dragon. So there's 6 total.
I think you repeated wind.
Did I repeat wind? Guess I'll never know. So this just in, I forgot to say the Fire Dragon. That's on me. So now you know all the 6 types of dragons in League of Legends. So Darius still holding that double the CS over Urgot. It looks like he's also a level or so up on Urgot. Not actually a level up quite yet, but he's going to probably get there eventually. We're seeing that CS difference coming into effect. Even though we're 1-1 in the game currently, Scribner-Snyder is actually 1,000 gold higher than Bancroft Rosalie at the moment. Looks like we're having a fight down here in the bot lane, trying to find some damage here, but it's not going to work out in favor of Bancroft Rosalie like they were hoping. Swain getting some major poke damage in on Yasuo here. However, Yasuo doesn't use mana, unlike Swain, so Swain's going to have to recall here eventually as he's starting to run out of mana, which is a slight advantage in this range versus melee matchup that Yasuo really needs to take advantage of if he wants to win out. Once again, just a slow and steady tempo build-up in favor of Scribner-Snyder right now. They're sitting at a 1.2k gold advantage purely from CS.
We haven't seen any bounties start to pop up yet.
No bounties like last match because unlike last match, we had characters with almost 100 gold or 100 CS by this point. However, unfortunately, we don't really see that kind of advantage quite yet. We might be seeing bounties here in the next couple minutes or so.
I've noticed that, I don't know what characters those are, but the 91 and the 72.
So, unfortunately, it looks like Scribner-Snyder's bot lane isn't doing as well as they could if they weren't playing a double support bot lane. But it's going to be definitely better in team fights once they hit team fighting phase because they have 2 giant AoE CC ults. So they're going to be able to knock the entire team out and make them not able to do anything for a couple of minutes during team fights, which is going to make a major difference in the late game. Which is a lot of what Scribner-Snyder's been playing for all day long, is taking it slow, doing it right, getting that gold advantage, and then rolling it into team fights and winning the game. Looks like Urgot's going to try and take a fight here. Unfortunately, he is a level down. However, Darius doesn't have the mana to be casting abilities, so he ends up taking a lot more poke than one would want to take in a situation like that. Darius would really probably back up a little bit and take the time to go get mana and recall. Either that, or it looks like Olaf is taking grubs right now. He might be trying to set up a gank here for Olaf. As you can see, unfortunately, Bancroft Rosalie doesn't have any vision in the river. Urgot burned his ult, but unfortunately not able to get enough damage onto the Darius to go ahead and kill him. Olaf trying to finish up the grubs here and rotate top quickly, but Darius is going to go ahead and play it safe on tower. Olaf's going to recall. Urgot also playing it safe. Looks like he's going to recall as well after thinking about it for a bit. So that leaves Darius all alone in the lane, just going ahead and pushing it down. Even though he's really low on mana and everything, just being left to roam free and get that CS advantage even higher.
I've noticed so far that a bunch of people have recalled in these matches compared to the ones from this morning.
Yes, so with this slow and careful pace that these teams are definitely taking in these fights, they don't really stick around in lane taking risks. They're just, okay, we got to focus on this fight here. Swain coming in on the bot lane, going to go ahead and connect a Seraphine ult, taking out the Blitzcrank, setting up for a kill here onto Heimerdinger, going to root him, pull him back in, and that's a double kill for Scribner-Snyder.
Is that a turret?
Yes, Heimerdinger specializes in spawning in turrets. We're going to get a Cloud Dragon here, but Olaf is going to find them taking it. He's going to take out the enemy jungler, going on the Yasuo here. Yasuo desperately trying to take out Olaf, but Olaf just barely getting away, and Yasuo goes down as well. Another 2 kills for Scribner-Snyder. Olaf just barely getting away, and Yasuo goes down as well. Another 2 kills for Scribner-Snyder. Once again, we're seeing Scribner-Snyder taking that slow, careful, and steady approach to this match. Urgot going to miss that ult onto the Darius. Very unfortunate. He's sitting under tower, taking tower shot after tower shot. Really looks like he's going to go down here to the tower. That's really unfortunate for Urgot here. A major misplay on the side of Bancroft Rosalie.
Yeah, because didn't they get the gold for that?
Darius was already sitting at a decent gold advantage. Now he has a 200 gold bounty because he's got 2 kills and 110 CS. That's a lot of gold into a Darius. You really don't want to see that if you're trying to win matches. Darius is one of those characters that can solo carry a team, and the rest of his team is doing really well too. Swain is an infinite scaler, which means that even after he finishes out his items, he's going to continue to scale more and more health as the match goes on. So even if he caps out on items, he's set up to continue to get stronger whether the opponent team likes it or not, which is really good considering the fact that he is 3-0-2 currently with 122 CS setting up. Swain coming in on the bot lane here again, really bullying this Blitzcrank and Heimerdinger, making sure that they're not able to go anywhere in this match. Heimerdinger goes down, and Blitzcrank is going to go down as well. We almost lost Sona there. That could have been really bad for Scribner-Snyder. In the end, it all works out in the favor of Scribner-Snyder. Very unfortunate for Bancroft Rosalie, however. Going to start pushing this tower, trying to get more turrets down. We're at the 16-minute mark, so right around now is when you want to see people pushing for towers, playing for team fights, things of that nature. Urgot coming down the river here, trying to deny that Rift Herald that Scribner-Snyder was looking to go for. Unfortunate for them. He's going to go ahead and go back to lane after making sure that they weren't on that Rift Herald. Kha'Zix sitting around the top side of the map, probably considering looking for a top gank here if Darius keeps pushing in. Darius, of course, doesn't know that Kha'Zix is up here and doesn't know that Kha'Zix could be ganking him soon. So he's just going to chill out, kind of hang around. Looks like Kha'Zix is actually going to be rotating towards mid lane here as Yasuo takes a lot of punches there from Swain. Very unfortunate for the Yasuo.
So I've noticed no one's gone for the Herald. Do you think anyone's going to go for the Herald anytime
Olaf
soon?
is actually just now starting the Herald. Bancroft Rosalie realizes that the opponent mid lane is missing, and they're thinking that maybe, just maybe, they might be taking that Rift Herald. But they aren't that worried about it. They're not going to rotate for it. Darius just sitting up here, farming his minions, happily claiming that CS advantage that he could always be taken. Swain coming into the top lane here is going to hit a root onto the Urgot. Comboing abilities after abilities. Olaf comes in too. This Urgot is desperately trying to get away and ends up going down.
Is there a possibility we'll see the Herald release soon?
Probably not. Olaf's going to go ahead and recall back to base, save it. He knows that Scribner-Snyder is going to be able to clean up that top lane, no problem at all. We're sitting at almost a 4,000 gold advantage in the favor of Scribner-Snyder right now. Looks like Bancroft Rosalie is pushing really hard on this bot lane turret. They're not going to be able to get it before their minions run out, however. They've put 2 and 2 together and realize that Kha'Zix is in their jungle. Kha'Zix trying to steal the red buff, realizes that there's too many people there, tries to run away, runs into Seraphine, trapped between a rock and a hard place, trying to find an angle to get out of this jungle. He's going to ult away, turn invisible, and run away. Seraphine down in the bot lane, trying to make sure that these minions aren't going to kill their turret. Just barely going to save it. Just that little sliver of health left on that tower right now.
How many turrets left so far? Just 1 and 1?
Mm-hmm. Looks like they're setting up for this next dragon here as Bancroft Rosalie gets a major stun onto the enemy team. Major misplay from Kha'Zix here, tries to jump in on a group of 3. Kha'Zix specializes in killing people on their own. That was a major misplay. Kha'Zix is going to get caught and taken out. That's going to allow Scribner-Snyder to roll into another dragon here. Looks like we're seeing another skirmish here in the top lane. Darius kind of getting beaten up by this Urgot. He's going to have to flash away, trying to survive. Going to get away. Darius kind of gets beaten up by this Urgot. Swain back in the mid lane here, looking to find some stuff on the Yasuo, but not going to find it after all. Urgot once again going again under the enemy tower, taking 4 tower shots for nothing. Very unfortunate.
We're just waiting for another dragon to spawn in.
Well, the dragon has already been taken out for this round, but it looks like they're grouping up to kind of collapse in on the enemy jungle here. They're going to spot Kha'Zix, but they're not worried about Kha'Zix. They want that enemy bot lane that has been pincered between their turret and the enemy team. Run into a bush with 3 turrets in it, but it's not enough. 3 ults coming out, going to take out the entire enemy bot lane. Kha'Zix looking for an angle here, but he's going to choose not to come in, which is the right decision in my opinion. We still haven't seen that Herald drop yet. I'm excited to see how they end up using it. Probably going to see it here in the mid lane here in a couple of seconds, though. Still haven't seen that Herald drop yet. I'm excited to see how they end up using it. Probably going to see it here in the mid lane here in a couple of seconds, though. Yep, there's that Herald. They're going to go ahead and ride it into that enemy tower. Going to start claiming turrets. Scribner-Snyder once again showing just how good they are at taking a very slight early game advantage and rolling it into a late game advantage that can win them matches. Then again, it is League of Legends. The match isn't over until it says over on the screen. We've seen comebacks from much worse today. Earlier today, Louisville won a match against another school while down 20 kills. So we definitely haven't seen the end of this one. Massive team fight here. A lot of stuff going on. Desperately, Bancroft Rosalie trying to win this fight, but they aren't going to. They lose 3 people. Heimerdinger manages to get away while Swain eats 3 more people. Swain is 11-0 at this point with a 700 gold bounty. If they ever manage to take down that Swain, it's going to be a major issue. Urgot coming in here trying to defend this turret. Turret goes down. He's going to go ahead and try and ult onto that Olaf, going to go ahead and take him out, using the fear from killing an opponent player to go ahead and get away. That's one of the special effects of his ult. Whenever he kills an enemy player with it, it fears all nearby enemies. Darius taking advantage of that distraction in the mid lane to go ahead and take out another turret in the top lane. As you can see, once again, Scribner-Snyder is slowly and surely just taking out every single advantage that they can from Bancroft Rosalie. Swain going ahead and teleporting down to the bot lane there instead of recalling and taking out a 3rd tower.
I think we're going to see them go for a Baron kill once the Baron spawns in.
So Baron is in, but it doesn't look like they quite have the advantage to go for Baron. A fun fact about the Baron is while you're fighting it, it slowly shreds your armor and resistances in other regards. So if you get collapsed in on by an enemy team while you're taking Baron, it's very bad for you, and you can very easily lose an advantage that you spent a whole match building. So usually you want to go for a Baron play after taking out a few of the enemy team. Urgot teleporting to his own base tower. I think that was a misinput.
You don't say.
Looks like they're going to go ahead and go after the Baron after all. Or maybe it's a trap. We'll have to see here. The entire team grouping up here on the Baron, trying to make sure that they don't keep a vision advantage. Trying to build up on this Baron here. Trying to make sure that they have the team put together. Not enough resistance shred where they can take this Baron and win the fight. They're going to have to pull back, unfortunately. We're going to see the Baron regenerate here because they can see the entirety of Bancroft Rosalie just waiting for the opportunity to come in and kill them. So they're going to choose instead to rotate out and catch some of Bancroft Rosalie. They're going to catch Urgot here in the top lane. Urgot going in on the fight all on his own, going to get CC'd several times and taken out. Now it is a 4v5 in favor of Scribner-Snyder, trying to run down this Kha'Zix, run down the opponent team in the mid lane.
We officially got another 700 gold bounty.
Another 700 gold bounty. Yes, on that Swain. Swain doing really good this match. I'm very happy to see that for Scribner-Snyder. It's very unfortunate for Bancroft Rosalie, however. Just kind of abusing that Heimerdinger through that wall. He's going to have to back up, go ahead and recall. Instead, he chooses to walk back up. Looks like we're going to lose Blitzcrank to a very good spell placement by that Seraphine right there. They're just kind of bullying into that tower, trying to get more and more, taking advantage of Bancroft Rosalie's slight misplays, turning them into major factors here. Darius is doing a good job here. He's going to distract like 3/4 of the enemy team. The rest of his team's going to collapse in, making sure that he stays alive. Olaf up here fighting the Urgot. Urgot's going to try and ult him, but he's going to go down before he gets the chance. Heimerdinger trying to save the Urgot. Urgot's going to go down before he can get there, though. Swain there. Swain saving their butts. Going to go ahead and take out that Heimerdinger, too. The rest of the enemy team's down except for Yasuo and Blitzcrank, who are in the mid lane fighting. Yasuo is going to go ahead and get CC'd. Yasuo is going to go down. Blitzcrank sitting under the turrets, trying to figure out what to do, trying to figure out any way that he can try and save this match as Scribner-Snyder continues to take down these Nexus turrets and turn this into a win. Kha'Zix going ahead and putting that GG in all chat, kind of accepted their defeat at this point, it seems. Very unfortunate for Bancroft Rosalie, but Scribner-Snyder is our state champions.